Justification is what? To justify something what is not just. By argument, you claim that it is justice. So they leave the church, they are asking us to leave the church, by asking us to join this charismatic renewal. And if anybody goes and says, I ask them, will we not lose salvation if we go to another denomination? They keep telling that, no, it is not like that. They too believe in the Bible, they too follow Christ, so they also have salvation. As a sign of that only, they have received charismatic gifts of the Holy Spirit, and therefore it is called the charismatic renewal. And therefore it is not wrong to join the charismatic renewal. By arguing like this, they somehow persuade these Catholics to join that charismatic movement and leave the faith in the Eucharist. To justify this act, they keep telling that we should not, they keep telling that the church is asking us not to say that it is through church alone, Catholic Church alone, we are saved. So they mislead us. They ask us to leave the faith in the Eucharist and join something else. So this charismatic movement is something opposite to ecumenism. Many people think charismatic movement is the only movement which is working towards ecumenism. No. Ecumenical movement has not yet started in the church yet. Before even starting that movement, before even lay people in the Catholic Church starting to do something towards the unification of these people poke their nose voluntarily into this affair or into this matter, and they start proclaiming something opposite to what this Vatican Council says. It says that ecumenism can be done only through a common celebration of the Eucharist, or that spiritual ecumenism they call it. They have to start believing in the Eucharistic Lord. But these people, charismatic people, in the guise of or in the garb of ecumenism, they come inside and start preaching with the help of their garment, the cassock which they wear. They show to people as if they have the authority to say something opposite to this ecumenical movement. And they preach as if salvation is there in all the denominations, even outside the Catholic Church. Believing this only, many people join the charismatic renewal. If at all you keep saying that we have salvation only in the Catholic Church, no one will join this charismatic. It's only because they are misled that people leave this faith and join that faith. This is called, leaving the faith is called a spiritual act, they say. Therefore, in ecumenism there is physical ecumenism and spiritual ecumenism. So we'll see page number 415, a quotation from page number 415. You can see like this, that in 8th para, first of all we'll see this change of heart and holiness of life along with the public and private prayer for the unity of Christians should be regarded as the soul of the whole ecumenical movement and merits the name spiritual ecumenism. So the spiritual ecumenism is what? The change of heart. You should change your heart. That means you should change your feeling. You should change the way you look at things. You should change your perception about the Eucharist. Only after you understand what is the Eucharist and only after you accept it, there is a state called spiritual ecumenism. This change of heart is needed. That's why it is said that they have to be brought into the common celebration of the Eucharist. In 14, page number 1414, you see the 7th para. There can be no ecumenism worthy of the name without interior conversion. See, they need to be interiorly converted towards the faith in the Eucharist. That is why it is said like this, again in 415, another quotation. In certain circumstances, such as in prayer service for unity, a prayer service for unity, not ordinary prayer service. If at all a prayer service is conducted for unity, then in that prayer service for unity and during ecumenical gatherings and wherever there is a gathering for this purpose of ecumenism, there only it is allowable, indeed desirable, that Catholics should join in prayer with their separated brethren. We need to join in prayer with the separated brethren only where there is this purpose of ecumenical unity. For what we should join in prayers with them? If at all we don't go and meet them and speak to them, there will not be a dialogue. For a dialogue we need two sides. So there is one side, their side, and if our side is not present there cannot be a dialogue, and that cannot lead us into an ecumenical state, a united state. So if at all we want them to unite with us, we have to first go and explain things to them, and before explaining we need to join in their prayers, in their effort to get unified and help them to come towards the Eucharist. But these charismatic people use this quotation and say that this sort of prayer, though it is not meant for the unity of this thing, of the churches, they say that the Vatican Council is asking us to join in their prayer. So they use this quotation in a wrong manner, in an opposite direction. In certain circumstances, such as in prayer service for unity and during ecumenical gatherings, it is allowable, indeed desirable, that Catholics should join in prayer with their separated brethren. They use this portion. Catholics should join in prayer with their separated brethren. They show this to the bishops and other people who question them and say that the charismatic renewal is only doing this. They justify that. Though their prayer meeting or prayer service or whatever they call it, is not an ecumenical gathering. They say that they use it for this purpose. And so they sing the songs or prayers of the separated brethren. No, it is allowable only when you make this effort towards ecumenism. No effort has so far been made by these charismatic renewal people towards this ecumenism. If at all they want to prove it otherwise, on the contrary, or something opposite to it, they should give a report every week or every month to the local parish, giving an account of how many people have been converted, whose hearts have changed, and who have joined, all those who have joined the spiritual ecumenism. The list of them should be given to the local parish, and their names through their confession, to the verification by the confession, should be enlisted in the book of life maintained in the parish, the Catholic parish. This is not being done. So about 50 years have passed. Still they don't do it, because there is no one who has come from that side to this side believing in the Eucharist. They have not taken this message of the Eucharist to that denominations. Instead, they have brought their faith into our denomination. So, from now on, towards an effort to this ecumenism, bishops can give a form to each parish, asking them to fill this form every month before they come and report to the bishop, or before they come and receive the pocket money from the bishop. They should present this statement of how many people have been brought from that faith into the Catholic faith, and who is the one who has done this act, and whether they did this confession here and other things and all should be mentioned in that form. And this report should reach Rome. All bishops should give a report to the Bishops' Council. The Bishops' Council can give it to the local cardinal, and the cardinals, the nuncios, will report the matter in Rome. And in Rome they got to take stock of what has happened that month, on that quarterly year, or something like that, and how many have been fruitfully brought into this ecumenism. That report should be there, and unless and otherwise, we should not assume that charismatic renewal is doing this ecumenism. and they should not be given this power to join in prayer with their separated brethren. They are exempted from that act, or from that fault, or that scandal of joining in prayer with the separated brethren, only in the name of ecumenical gathering. Only when you join together for ecumenical gathering or for unity, you are allowed to join in prayer with your separated brethren. Otherwise it is not allowed here. That is what is said here. It has been wrongly interpreted by this charismatic priest. This is what is said in page number 415 or in the para 8 of the UR. 415 is now we'll see 416. In 416 what is said about it? Here something is said about the capacity, the competence of the person who takes part in it, provided that those who take part in them under the guidance of the authorities are truly competent. This competency, what is that? You should have enough knowledge about this Eucharist, the purpose of the Eucharist, the essentiality of the Eucharist, and so on. That's why we explained all things about the Eucharist. That's why we said that we started from divine filiation and started giving you details like for divine filial adoption. For that we need a covenant, then an external sign of the covenant is needed. For that an act is need to be done, and that act should have something that is called Eucharist. Then that material should not be made by man, but it should be made by something from heaven, and that for that only transubstantiation needs to be believed, and for that we need a representative to make that covenant. We need a representative of God. For that only God gave the church, and that church should believe in filial adoption, and that for this agreement or for this authority to function, for this thing to function, the church needs authority from God. This authority only God gives by saying the key to the kingdom of God, and it has been given to Peter, and Peter has handed down it to the next pope and next pope and next pope, and for this 2000 years we have been having so many popes, and at present we have this Pope Francis. This is what we saw. Why? Because we should become competent to enter into this ecumenical movement. So, unless you know the essentiality or the necessity or the inevitability of this Eucharistic Lord, you should never venture into this ecumenical movement. What do you mean by venturing into ecumenical? You should never join in prayer with your separated brethren. Only when you become competent, you can join. That is what is said into this context. That is why it is said like this in 415, that only for Catholic, in certain circumstances, during ecumenical gathering, it is allowable that Catholic should join in prayer with their separated. Otherwise, those incompetent, those who are not truly competent, should never ever join in prayer with them, because it will become a scandal. You will not be able to find out in which faith you belong to. Unless you proclaim the Eucharist, you would be considered as someone who has left the faith in the Eucharist. That is what is happening in the charismatic renewal now. It has to be closed. It cannot be a movement for the Eucharistic Lord, because they believe in a spirit that does not believe in Eucharistic Lord, the Lord's presence in the Eucharist. They don't believe in it. Therefore, in 416, once again, if you come, the next quotation is 11th para. You can see, nothing is so foreign to the spirit of ecumenism as a false ironicism which harms the purity of Catholic doctrines and obscures its genuine and certain meaning. It is foreign to us.